Now, sometimes we do plug books which we think are of interest to you, the viewers and the listeners, and it's this one by Andrew Reid, who's the author of The Inside Story of the Brexit Party. It's called The Art of the Impossible, How to Start a Political Party. The mind boggles, frankly, Andrew, but tell me about how you got involved in the Brexit Party. What intrigues me about that whole movement is that the Brexit Party did so well, and it was very representational of society at large, and it didn't quite get the criticism that was attracted to UKIP back in the day. Why was that?
Well, that was because when we planned to set it up, it was going to cross all political spectrums.
Yeah.
So in simpler words, it was not going to be there as representing one party, but actually representing the views of actually the 17.4 million people who voted for Brexit.
Might be lefties, might be righties, might be somewhere in between.
Well, I mean, you know, we had Mrs Fox, as she was known then.
Yeah, Claire Fox, yeah.
Claire Fox. So we had people of every political colour. It didn't make any difference. But if they believed in Brexit, then they were very welcome to join or participate in bringing about the success that the Brexit Party brought about, only to be let down, sadly.
Yes, well, let's get on to that in a minute. But when you say about the art of the impossible in setting the party up, just how difficult was it? I mean, we just heard from Nigel about the kind of debanking scandal, this culture that has permeated of, if you don't agree with me, then you're cancelled. How difficult was it to get this off the ground?
Well, if you look at, I'm going to say, page 29 in the book, there we are, what, how many years ago now? 4 or 5 years ago, where we couldn't get a bank account, right? Exactly that.
Yeah.
Because we were effectively a thorn that no bank wanted to have. And eventually, when the reform, or Brexit reform, got a bank account, it had it cancelled, I think, about a year later. So, and
at the time, presumably, the suspicion was because it was this kind of politically exposed argument that. Or did you think it was the establishment trying to shut down people who had pro-Brexit sympathies?
Well, I think it was the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, you know, UKIP was impregnated by MI5. We were effectively, in the form of the Brexit Party, were the last thing they wanted to appear on the horizon.
Yeah.
But it was too short a period for anyone to be able to get inside it. But yes, there were a lot of problems in setting up a party. I mean, you've got so many. You've got the physical organisation, then the organisation of people.
Yes.
And then the hardest thing is dealing with the Electoral Commission, who were totally against us. Again,
because they had the pro-Remain establishment viewpoint.
Precisely. And we'll move later on in our conversation onto the Gordon Brown scenario, which is a very interesting one, where, again, we get the Russian nonsense.
Yes, Russian funding, Russian backing and all that. And that's all just a smear.
Complete smear. But what did the Electoral Commission do? The day before the election, they put it out the night before that they're going to be visiting the offices to have a look at illegal donations.
That's
of course, they found absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And, you know, it was this approach that was throughout any official organisation towards...
It's amazing you got it off the ground at all. Can we talk about Nigel's role in it all? I mean, how pivotal was he? And does he need to get more involved in reform, as the Brexit Party is now known?
That's a decision that he will make.
I know, but
not
it might
me.
be rocket fuel.
Yeah, he is rocket fuel. Look, Nigel has a following of about 5 million people, like it or like it not. The Conservatives, and for that matter, any other party, has to accept that. Because he is a conviction politician.
Yeah.
We have so few of them who actually believe in what they are saying and believe in talking to people. Nigel can talk to someone who has a completely opposite view to his own and listen, whereas most politicians now are only put in set positions and are not able to cope with any form of argument against what they've been told to say.
But how much of a threat do you think reform now are on the right? You know, there's increasing concerns. I discussed it earlier with Priti Patel about Conservatives no longer being conservative enough. I mean, is there that space for the party on the right? And is there space for a party on the right to succeed without Nigel Farage at the helm?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are homeless
Yes.
in this country. I mean, I would say I'm one of them. And probably a new form of party needs to come in.
What, in addition to reform?
Well, it may well be a new...
Well, talking about new Conservatives, I mean, sometimes people I meet in the street say, why doesn't the likes of Nigel, Pretty, Jacob, other righties in the party who are disgruntled with the direction of governmental travel, why don't they all form their own party? Could that work, Andrew?
Well, I actually tried to get a message through to Liz Truss.
Yeah.
To talk to him, to realise that there is a view. Because,
to talk to Farage?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, to kind of get those two together and see...
Well, it never happened, didn't it? But I did try to send that message through. Because, I mean, she was basically ousted in a bloodless coup. I mean, that's really what happened. Quite interesting, but no one's ever analysed it in those terms, because we are now, in terms of the interest rates and all the other horror stories, exactly where they said it was going to happen if she was there. But at least she had an idea to bring something new, to encourage growth, rather than just to stymie it.
What's your analysis of Rishi Sunak, briefly?
My analysis is that he's a good man who hasn't quite worked out where he needs to be.
Where do you think he needs to be?
I think he needs to get back to some proper Conservative values. I mean, I think the Conservatives have achieved in the last 12 years more than any Labour government would have achieved.
Yeah, in high spending and high tax.
Exactly, all of that. And when you now have a situation where 52% of the working population work for the state, this is getting very frightening.
Yes.
You know, we're heading into Russian tractor factories sort of type situation.
Andrew Reid, we're going to have to leave it there just for time reasons, but just give your book a little plug. It's the inside story of the Brexit Party, the art of the impossible. Although, as we've seen here through our own fellow GB News presenter, anything is possible. And in fact, what he's done on banking, I don't know, I just get the feeling this is the turning of a tide, not just on the banking issue, but just cancellation in general. This idea that if you've got an opposing view, then you're not just a racist and a bigot, but you aren't able to air it and you can be debanked. So let's just watch this story very, very closely, because I think there's more to come this week.